Hi guys, it's Jaden. I hope everyone is having a great long weekend. Easter long weekend. I know I am. So today I thought I would sit down and do a little story time video. Just with the whole theme of Easter. To me and my beliefs, Easter is about new beginnings. A few days ago was Transgender Day of Visibility, and it's almost been a year since I have uploaded my transgender story journey video. I retitled that to be in part 1, transitioning. So today I'm going to be filming my sex reassignment surgery story. So hope you guys enjoy. So of course, filming this video to me is very important because there's lots of surgery story videos out there. Some, being girls talking about their surgery being the scariest thing they've ever gone through in life. Some talking about their complications, their risks, and then some saying, they have regretted it. For me, having the surgery was something I patiently was waiting years and years and years for. No matter what complications and what risks came along with it, it wasn't scaring me at all out of having the surgery. It was just something to me that was just that final piece of my transition. Even being, earliest as I can remember, 5 years old, somehow I knew that this having a sex change was a thing. I don't know how I knew, but I always told myself when I'm turning 16, which I don't know how I came up with 16, but I thought to myself when I'm 16, I will be having a sex change. So 5-year-old me was right, but obviously I wasn't 16, I was 19. So yeah. Like I said, it's important for me to share my story because I would describe my surgery as being very monumental and a beautiful moment in my life, and I wouldn't change one thing about it. So of course, having the surgery was something that I patiently was waiting years for. I knew no matter what the complications could be, what the risks could be, it wasn't going to scare me out of having the surgery. It, for me, was that big puzzle piece into my transition for me to be complete in my transition and my life. There's lots of trans girls out there who don't even get the surgery. They're just happy, with their bodies, which I think is cool because you know what? Being your gender what's between your legs does not define your gender. Especially being transgender, it's very important to know it's not always about the physical, it's about what's inside. And, you're not just a girl because you have a vagina. For me, I know that because to me, I was 5 years old, having a penis, and I felt like I was a girl. I knew I was a girl. My soul is female. So I had major body dysphoria having that body part. So having the surgery was super, super, super important for me. So basically going for your first hormone appointment starts the process of being on the wait list for surgery. Mine was in 2016, and then I got the call on Canada Day of 2018. I went for my hormone appointment in March 2016, and then Canada Day 2018, so I had just over 2 years. And to be honest, that was the longest 2 years of my life. Longest 2 years. Now that I'm in my life, 2 years goes by just like that. Coming up on almost 3 years of having my surgery, it's gone by so fast, I'm like, if I could go back and tell myself like, listen girl, this is where you're gonna be, everything's gonna work out. Just be patient, and I say that to anyone else out there too. It's a long waiting game, and it's all about patience and knowing that the right time will come. So basically, going for the first hormone appointment starts the process of being on the wait list for surgery. Mine was March of 2016. And I got the call on Canada Day of 2018. They were like, can you come in 2 weeks for surgery? Which I was like, holy cow, that is so soon. But then they also said, or we could do September 25th of 2018, which I was like, that's perfect. Let's book that. You know, you would think I'd want to book the 1 in 2 weeks, but for me, I just turned 19. I was partying a lot. I was drinking, partying multiple times per week, and you know, I didn't know when I was gonna get the call for surgery. You just don't. It's just so random. So I wanted my body to be in the best condition and as healthy as it could be. So I booked it for September 25th, 2018. I did get a bit nervous from watching, you know, other YouTube videos and girls explaining, you know, their stories. But once again, I was gonna go in with my own experience, and because everyone's experience is different, obviously. And then, you know, weeks and days coming up to traveling to Montreal, I just couldn't believe that this moment was happening. It was so surreal. Before I go, they give you like this big pamphlet of, you know, information you have to fill out about, you know, your body and yourself. And then they just give you things that you should prepare for. So one of the things was I had to stop my hormone therapy for 2 weeks, which was very hard because, you know, you're stopping your hormone therapy, which causes a major imbalance. So the mood swings and stuff were crazy, you know, but it was worth it though. 2 weeks before going, my mom and I went to get smudged by our family friend. He passed us down a piece of sweetgrass and sage to take with us, which is very spiritual in our culture. So I brought that with me to Montreal. I had like the sweetgrass in my suitcase, and I actually put a little bit of it in my hair right before going into the operation room. So when the time came to actually be on the airplane traveling to Montreal, it was a very quiet ride. Me and my parents were both all very quiet. First of all, I was so thankful and grateful for having my parents with me. But yeah, I was just so anxious. I was just anxious to get to Montreal, anxious to have my surgery. I had people tell me like, are you scared? Are you nervous? And I was like, honestly, I'm just anxious. I'm kind of excited, obviously, but I just want to go and get it done and over with. We arrived in Montreal 2 days before my surgery, and then the next day we met my surgeon, which was very nerve-wracking. I seen a picture of him, obviously, but I have no clue like about his personality. Does he speak English? Does, you know, I just had no clue, which obviously he did, which everyone in Montreal did, which I was, you know, I didn't really know what to expect going there as well, since I don't speak French. So I was nervous to meet him, but after meeting him, I was so at ease, you know. I was the most at ease I ever felt, and I was super excited because he was really down to earth, he was funny, and I just had an instant trust in him. So the night before my surgery, I finally had my first breakdown. I was crying, I was scared to be alone in the hospital since, you know, I've never had a surgery before in my entire life. So just being scared to go to the hospital alone, you know, not to have my parents with me, you know. I was surprised it took that long for me to have my breakdown, considering, you know, I was super strong until then, but, you know, it's gonna happen. You're gonna break down, you know, it's a big thing, but I got over it. The morning of, I was super quiet. It was a rainy morning, and I remember FaceTiming my boyfriend at the time. And that helped out a lot, you know, having that extra support, talking to my grandma. You know, I have all this support with me and back home, which is amazing because I just couldn't imagine, you know, going without any support with me, which there's lots of people who do, which I think is, you know, crazy. So I was very thankful to have them. When we got to the surgeon's private hospital, it definitely doesn't look like your typical hospital. It's his own building, and it was super new. I think they just like renovated it like months ago, and it was cute. I remember a nice grass in the back, which is funny because I don't know how I remember that, but there's a nice grass in the back, little patio area. Across the street was a little river, a little park. It was super cute. So that made me feel great as well. And then going into the building, I had to fill out paperwork, and I saw another trans girl sitting in there, all by herself, her luggage, her suitcases with her. And that was kind of sad to me because I had both my parents with me, which once again, super grateful. So yeah, it was crazy. I was like, I couldn't imagine being there by myself. So some of the post-op rooms were right around the corner. So I remember seeing this one girl with a nurse walking around the waiting room, and it looked like she was in lots of pain, which she probably just got out of surgery a day before, since you're only going to be spending 2 days in like the hospital wing, and then the next 9 days you're in the recovery wing, as they call it. So yeah, I was like, I knew that was gonna be me, you know, walking. I just couldn't believe that like today is the day I'm gonna be having my surgery. After filling out my paperwork, I was brought to my post-op room. A nurse gave me some meds, which I called happy pills because I felt so good. Obviously I was all high and drugged up from them. And I was, you know, lucky to hang out with my parents till having the surgery. Once again, I was so enthusiastic. I was like, of course, taking the happy pills. I was like, let's do this. I'm excited to have my surgery. Let's go. And then, you know, I was waiting there for about 2.5 hours. We got there around 8. Finally, by 11:30, I was brought to another room, which I could tell like the operation room was nearby. And then there's a big window and I'm sitting in the chair. It was like a little secluded room. So I saw my parents drive away. I was still a little bit high off of the meds. And I remember sitting there for about 25 minutes and just thinking and basically just coming to terms that my life is about to change forever. This is the moment I've been waiting for my entire life. Having all that time by myself, just thinking, I'm like, it's happening. This is what you've waited for. That was a very, very crazy, beautiful moment, honestly. And then finally being brought to the surgery room, which once again didn't look like your typical surgery room. It looked very new, futuristic. I don't know how to explain it, but like the lights and everything looked very expensive. I don't know what I was picturing, but I was like, oh, this is way newer and nicer than I expected. So that felt good. Then I laid on the surgery bed, seeing tons of nurses and assistants around me. They told me to hug and hold a pillow. They put a needle in my back while I was holding the pillow to numb waist down. And then I laid down, and for some reason I just started bawling. It was like this emotional moment, and you know, I was just like crying. I don't even know why I was crying, honestly. I was just crying, and the nurses were so comforting and they made me feel so at ease. And then next thing you know, they told me to close my eyes, which felt like 30 seconds. And next thing you know, I was waking up. And the nurses are waking me up. And they're telling me, your surgery is done. Which I couldn't believe. I was like, it's really done? They're like, yes. And I absolutely felt nothing. I just remember feeling so, so cold. I was like shivering. I was telling them I'm so cold. And then once again, I started bawling. I don't know why. Once again, just start crying. And the nurses were telling me it's okay, once again comforting me. They were just so amazing. Then they wheeled me to my post-op room, and I remember then my mood started to shift, and I was like probably once again high off the meds, and I was just joking around with them. They're speaking in French and I was trying to speak in French too. And then I remember I wanted to call my parents, so they gave me a phone, and I called my parents and I was like, hello, where are you guys? I'm done my surgery. And they were like so shocked that my surgery was A, done so quick, and B, I was coherent enough to actually call them and notice they weren't there. Which it was weird because in the pamphlet they said that I wasn't gonna remember anything like the whole night after having my surgery. So they said we're almost there, and yeah, but the surgery was only 2 hours long, which I thought that it was going to be like a long 6-hour thing, but no, only 2 hours. He does like 3 surgeries or 4 a day, which is crazy. But I was relaxing the rest of the night, and then I remember being told to try and get up and go for my first walk around the weight room. And I remember getting up and just like, I couldn't even see. My vision was like blurry. I almost fell down. They had to like hold me, so they put me back in bed. And then 2 hours later, they brought me, and then I actually got up and I was good enough to go for a walk around the thing. And I remember like the nurse who was helping me was super cool. The nurses were all super nice. She was actually like a younger nurse. So then once I got back in my bed, we just started like chit-chatting, and I was just telling her I was like a hairstylist. We were talking about hair. I just thought that was kind of funny and cool. But then, hour later or so, I did feel so much pain in like the very top of my leg, bottom of my stomach, like growing area, you know, like huge needles were like poking me and ripping like my muscles. It was just insane amount of pain I've ever felt my entire life, which I mean, to be expected. I was crying. I got them to give me some more painkillers, and then the nurses was telling me like, look, this is the worst pain you're gonna feel. Everything and every day after this, it's gonna get better. So that felt nice, but crazy amount of pain. Like out of scale 1 to 10, probably like 7 or 8 out of 10, but it was pretty insane. Yeah. So going to sleep my first night, I played my podcast on my phone. I have a little sound machine that plays like, you could put like an ocean on or a campfire. So that was very comforting for me. It sucked though having to obviously sleep on my back. I like to sleep on my side, so that sucked having to sleep on my back. And then after a week, you know, you could finally sleep how you want to. The second day, I walked around the hospital a couple times. The nurses were saying I was doing very good. The next day, my dressing was removed, which basically is like a mountain of gauze stitched to me. And then a blood tube was removed, which felt very weird. It didn't hurt. It just felt very uncomfortable, like something plastic is literally being taken out of your body. And then after all that, that was the first time they showed me with a mirror. I got to see my vagina for the first time. That was like a crazy, once again, beautiful, monumental moment for me. And to be honest, when I explain it, it was like that was always there, you know? I was just thankful for my surgeon, but it was like that was always there. It was like underneath the penis. It was like that's just always been on my body, and they just finally revealed it for myself, and it was a beautiful moment. So that same day, I was brought to the other side of the hospital, the recovery wing, which my room was luckily on the first floor because there was some rooms upstairs, so that would have been hard for me to come down all those stairs. Plus my room was right across from the bathroom, so that was also nice. Although I was super overwhelmed with all the aftercare, since 95% of it was now all on me to take care of myself. Of course, being on the hospital side, all the nurses took care of everything. But then it was finally time for me to do all the care, which included showering, washing, douching, and then dilating multiple times per day, which basically was like this thick plastic, which is shaped basically like, you know, like there's 3 different sizes, 2, 3, and 4, which is inches of a circumference. So I had to dilate 4 times a day for 10 minutes with the number 2, 15 minutes with the number 3, and after a week I had to try 3 and 4. I did try number 4 almost 3 weeks after my surgery, but it was too painful for me to do it after. And the surgeon said that's okay, but I should at least try, because if you miss out on dilating or you stop, it could result in losing your width and your depth, which is an interesting fact for anyone that doesn't know. So that's not good, obviously. And then basically after that, you only have to dilate once a week for 10 or 15 minutes or have sex. So when I was bathing myself, I was lucky to have my own arm and body strength because, you know, you have to lift yourself out of the tub basically, which I don't know how the older girls did it. There's about 8 or 9 other girls in the recovery wing. For some reason, you know, I didn't want to socialize with them. It sounds weird, but I knew they liked to socialize with one another. But personally for me, I just wanted to be with my parents and I just wanted to be alone as much as I could be. Every morning at 8:30, you would be woken up for breakfast, at 12 for lunch, and at 5 for dinner. Everyone gathered around this dinner table and socialized, but when, you know, it was time for breakfast, I would just take my breakfast, take it back to my room, and then my parents luckily brought me my lunch and my dinners every day, which sounds very diva-ish, but they brought me Greek food, Chinese food, just amazing. But I know that the girls were socializing with one another, which is great. You know, they didn't have anyone else, which is really sad. I had my parents with me, which was, you know, amazing. They didn't have anyone, which I couldn't imagine being there without my parents or being there without any type of support. And another reason I didn't want to socialize was because there's a couple girls there that they just talked so negatively and they just complained a lot, and I'm just thinking like, girl, what did you think you signed up for? You think this is gonna be easy? It's not. And just like, I get everyone has their own experiences, but it's almost like you're trying to scare the people that haven't done the certain things yet. Like the couple girls have been there like a day or two after or before other girls, so it's almost like, oh, get ready for day 5, like this is gonna be really awful, this is super painful, and it's just like you're almost trying to like scare people who haven't gone into it yet, which for me, I wasn't scared. I was like, bring it on. But I was just like thinking like, just keep your opinions to yourself, and I didn't think that was cool to like try and like essentially like basically scare people, you know? So a couple days later, I had my stitches removed, which is one of the things the girls was talking about. They cut every single one off that connects to certain body parts, which that was the most painful part of the recovery also. It was super quick, but super painful. The most painful, you know, I've ever felt down there. But then after that, you could walk better, you could just do certain things better. And then every day you have to pee out of a catheter, which that was also a very weird feeling. It was like someone's pulling on your bladder. Super weird. And then they take it out. When they take it out for the next 24 hours, you have to track down your pee, and then drink lots of water, track down how much water you're drinking. And then if your urine is irregular or weird, then they have to put the catheter back in. So I was praying, I was like, please, I hope my pee is good and I passed basically this test. I was drinking tons of water, peeing a lot. I was, you know, you'd have to get up at 5 a.m. to pee into this bowl type of cup, write it down, measure. Just crazy. It was like the longest 10 days of my life. But once again, it was just the most amazing life experience I've ever had. And I would do it again, essentially, which I'm going to have to if I get like my top surgery, my breast augmentation, but it was just amazing. I was honestly surprised at how fast I was healing. Apparently I had barely any blood loss, basically, or no bruising, and they said I was on the road to an amazing recovery already, which once again, just amazing. Of course, doing my prayers and everything I believe in, just having faith, you know? I remember leaving the first day of the hospital, it was just like freedom. It was just a crazy feeling. Got to go watch Real Housewives, just feel comfortable at the Airbnb we were in. You have to stay for 4 more days after. And then my mom booked me a facial to get done at one of the salons in Montreal, and that was the best part of the trip, honestly. It was just relaxing, getting a facial done, like amazing. Leaving Montreal, I couldn't even like walk through the airport. I had to get wheeled through a wheelchair, and then so that was like funny. And then a funny story is with my dilators, they kind of you know, don't look appropriate. So through the customs and the security, they got flagged. I was like over there in my wheelchair, and my dad was going through with them, and they pulled them out, and me and my mom were killing ourselves laughing. But of course my surgeon gives me like a note to clear this item because it could seem odd, but I just thought that was hilarious. Like, my dad's in the lineup for like the customs and the security, and they're pulling out my dilators like they're his. That was hilarious. As for aftercare, the most intense was the month of after, because I had to dilate 4 times a day. I couldn't go out basically anywhere. And after 2 months, I dilated 3 times a day. It's for 25 minutes. 3 months, 2 times a day for 25 minutes. After 6 months, once a day, 25 minutes. So like I said, having that first month, it's just like, you gotta dilate, you're almost there for like half an hour, and then you have to bath for half an hour, and then like an hour later you have to do the whole routine again. So I only had like an hour to just chill and do my own thing, and it's just like laying in bed and just like watching shows and stuff. I was honestly getting like quite depressed, but I knew I just had to stick through it. It's gonna be worth it. This isn't gonna last forever type of thing. And then 2 months after surgery, or like 2.5 months, I was working out, I was running, I was basically living life how I want. I could wear whatever I want. That was a huge thing for me. I love fashion, and I could finally wear whatever I want. You know, another thing, I am signed with a modeling agency now, but that was a big thing to me, that I wasn't going to apply to any modeling agencies until I had my surgery. So once again, super, super happy. Another fact about surgery is you can't have sex until 3 months after surgery. After 3 months, I had a normal functioning vagina, normal orgasms, TMI, but I feel like that information is important, the knowledge, but same, you know, it's the same feeling. Just crazy. I was actually shocked by when I had my first one. I was just like, I can't believe that I was honestly worried I wouldn't be able to have one after, but no, I have a normal sex life, and you know, that's also, you know, just amazing to me. After surgery, you know, I gave my surgeon, my parents, my mom made the idea of getting them flowers, and the receptionist and the nurses, flowers, chocolates, everything, and it actually brought, you know, tears to my surgeon's eyes almost to have that. I was just like, got him a card and, you know, wrote him a very amazing note. And when I go to Montreal, you know, this summer, I would love to go see if I could see him. But you know what, I was just like, it's very amazing that, you know, a team of people could change someone's life in the most beautiful way. So I think I've covered everything. One more thing I want to say is that I didn't really feel any different inside after having the surgery. Outside, yes, obviously. In the inside, I was still the same person. Obviously going through so much depression and everything being transitioning and, you know, pre-op of, you know, the thing is I thought having a surgery would be my key to happiness in life, and that's not true. Happiness comes within, so that's very important to know and to learn, because that right there just showed me that is true. Nothing in life is going to get you happiness. You have to find happiness within. Well, I'm glad I got to share my story. I hope it helps anyone out there. I hope that... My camera died right when I was about to film my intro, but I was just gonna say, I hope that brought knowledge to anyone who is curious about my story. I'm so happy to finally share it. Thank you so much. Till next time. Bye, guys.